I am now, God willing, recording on my phone. Okay, this is makeup tutorials in the age of Zoom. Tasha, I'm so excited that you have carved out some time for me. You're a Chanel makeup artist, I should say, and also a groomer for everyone from Michael B. Jordan to Florence Welch to the guy from Led Zeppelin you were just telling us about. What's his name? I'm like not a Led Zeppelin fan either. I basically begged the publicist for Chanel to get someone to show me what Boy de Chanel is.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of the name. I know that the boy bag was a bag, and now Boy de Chanel is a makeup brand. But what makes it, is it just for men? What makes it for men?
So men's skin is different. It's a specialty. It's a specialty because you need coverage, but you also don't want it to look like coverage. So you have to have a really good hand, and more importantly, you have to have really good products. And that's what the Boy de Chanel is. It's really good products specifically for men because men tend to have thicker skin, and also the coverage that men need tends to be on the lighter end.
Yeah.
Also want a more of a satin or a flat finish. You don't want anything too dewy because that's typically why men tend to need coverage. They want to just cover a couple things, a little bit of blotchiness, and not be shiny.
But you have the joy and the privilege and the responsibility to teach me what the do.
Well, it is. You have those horror stories where someone did your makeup and you look like a scary painted doll. But I think that's a different time, and it's also technique has evolved, and more importantly, product has evolved. So there is a way for you to get coverage and for it to be completely seamless, and not just on Zoom or not just on a television appearance, but in person. That is the goal, to look right at you and your mind doesn't even think he's got coverage on.
Makeup.
Awesome. So what do you have on your face right now?
So I, in full disclosure, I worked out this morning. I got a sweat on. I didn't have time to shower. I washed my face with cleanser, and you're looking at me now.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Because my philosophy on skin in general is to start at the beginning. Because if you just kind of start at the end, where it's like you looking at what's wrong and then you just end up dumping a lot of product on your face, that's unnecessary. I want to start from the very, very beginning. So you do have a clean face. You have no oils on your face, which is going to stop us from putting a ton of powder on later. So that's great. And then you want to look awake and refreshed. I always take, and also something cold to sort of tighten the pores. If you take a little bit of time in the beginning, you're going to save a lot bit of time later with product, and a lot bit of time with a lot bit of coverage. You're not going to need as much. We already have clean skin, no oils. Do you have tools where we can sort of, you worked out, so we can sort of drain a little bit of fluid from your face, tighten pores, and make you look a little more refreshed under your eyes, like with a jade roller?
Okay, so I wasn't able to find a jade roller, but can we use a chilled bottle of vodka?
Yes, we can use a chilled bottle of vodka. Vodka's always multi-purpose.
I see my Zoom pants.
It's okay, I'm wearing sweatpants. That'll do it. That'll do it.
We've got our chilled liquor.
That'll do it. So just we're going to use our vodka roller, and just in an upward motion, I will grab something similar. Upward motion, we're just going to help it drain from the center of the face and out. And it's just going to push any extra fluid and help it drain. We're going to depuff your face. And because the vodka's chilled, it's going to tighten the pores.
Doing the best we can with what we have.
Exactly. Is it Grey Goose?
It is Chopin, my favorite.
Perfect. Whew. Okay, that's going to be fun later too when you get to open the bottle.
Exactly.
Awesome. So we have that part prepped. And then with a moisturizer, we're going to use the Boy de Chanel, the Fortifying Gel Moisturizer. It's gel based, so it's not going to make it, you know, sometimes you put moisturizer on and it has like a greasy after feel. This is gel, so it's just going to melt directly into your skin.
Do guys have more, like, what's in between guy skin and girl skin? I know thicker, you said, but like, what else would we have? Like, why is the question we get all the time for Eyewitness Beauty is, are like men's skincare products different than the women's version? And I've always said this fragrance is kind of the only thing, but like, what else could we look for as a guy in a skincare product that a girl wouldn't necessarily want to look for or need to look for?
Well, girls, usually we like a dewy finish, exactly, the gel moisturizer. We like a dewy finish. So women's moisturizers tend to be a little thicker, a little heavier, because it gives you that glow. It gives you that hydrated look. Men tend to just want to have healthy, moisturized skin. We need it to be not as, still healthy and with a little bit of a glow, but not as much shine to it. So with the gel moisture, and also men's skin tends to be drier. They tend to have drier skin, particularly in the beard area, because you're taking a razor across it all the time. Yeah. So you also have
it's always a little bit sensitive in this area too.
Sensitive and it gets irritated very easily. So that's, I think, the main thing. Like you said, fragrance is such a big deal. You can't have heavy fragrance going onto raw skin. So with the gel moisturizer, I put a little bit on my hands.
How much are we talking?
Yeah, like a blueberry. Let's give it some love because we're going to put it all over. Perfect. Perfect.
Any special application tips?
I just like to press it into the skin. Like press it. Okay. And again, I always start in the center of the face and work my way out. But just press it into the skin. Okay. And because of the beard, we're going to also give it come down.
What are any hot tips for how to get rid of razor burn underneath, like on the beard area?
Shaving cream that's thick so the razor really glides. If you keep getting burned, it means the razor's just rubbing right up against your skin. It doesn't have anything to just glide across it that provides that protection.
So like a really thick, like super luxurious razor cream or shaving cream will do the trick.
Super luxurious. If you put it on your face and it runs a little bit, it's not thick enough. You need it to be like really thick. So I like the ones that are super thick and it ends up almost, it looks kind of like whipped cream on the face where it's like these big points. Or I like a thick, it's like a gel solve and the razor just glides across it. It's the thinner ones where it's just razor on skin, especially if you're doing it every single day, your skin never gets a chance to heal. So it just goes from raw to raw to raw to raw, and you're constantly in a healing phase. So give it a minute to set in, which is perfect. And give a little extra love under your eyes. I like to do it under the eyes with my ring finger because it has the least amount of pressure. You're perfect. And the skin under the eyes is so thin. Bring it out.
So are these steps like really necessary? Like I know like in tutorials they always do like this prep stuff and like this like massage stuff, but does it actually like make a difference in the final product, do you think?
It really does. Because if you're just gooping on moisturizer and you don't wait, now it's so heavy, you need more product. If you're if you don't put any under your eyes and then you try to put coverage under your eyes, it's not hydrated, so it looks a little cakey and heavy. So some of the they seem like it's just some unnecessary self-care tip, but there actually is. Each step has a purpose, and you'll notice a difference in the end. Like I said, if you take that little bit of extra time, in the end, the results are so much better. So like if we skip that step of really pressing in moisturizer, and then you put concealer underneath it, now it's cakey. It had nothing to glide against. If we skipped like really letting it soak into your skin, now you've got moisturizer on top of it, and now you need a ton of powder to make it matte. So each step does have a purpose. We're prepped. So now the important part, which a lot of this, to me, this is one of the most important steps. What coverage do you actually need? Because some people will just grab it and they're like, I'm supposed to use foundation. Actually look at your skin and decide what level of coverage you need. What are you trying to cover? What is the purpose?
So I think like there's a little bit of splotchiness, like a little bit of redness, uneven skin tone, and then like under eyes is always, I look sleepless, and the older I get, the more sleepless I look.
So you just want to even it out a little bit and look more awake. Okay, perfect. So on your skin, we can use the foundation, and I'm going to show you how to pick the correct shade. Do you have several shades?
Yes, I had several shades. I have a Bois de Chanel foundation with SPF. I have a Le Beige natural tint healthy glow foundation in B40.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another foundation, number 50 medium and number 20 light.
Let's start with, you do not look like medium, so we're going to start with number 20 light. And I'll go along with you.
So this is the tint. It's my chance to be the beauty blogger, like the blogger like this.
And same,
Okay.
pea size amount. You want to build it. Instead of slapping a bunch on, if you do that, we'll be able to see it from across the street. And as you work, you'll probably realize you don't need as much as you think that you need. So the amount that I always use, a pea size amount. Tiny.
Is that enough? Is that too much?
Perfect.
Okay.
And then for me, I like to apply things under the eye with my finger or with a brush, depending on how much coverage you need. Always tells me, like, I don't tend to sponge things on.
Because what does a brush do versus a finger? How would you decide?
More brushes and fingers versus a sponge, if that makes sense.
Got it.
Because the sponge, it's not as precise. I can get really precise with my little finger, or I can get really precise with a tight brush. With a sponge, it's a bigger stamp. The area is too big. It's a big stamp of coverage. So because we're using a larger surface, the little brush, we're going to be here all day if we use the little brush. I would use a larger brush. Yes. For foundation, we're going to use brush 102. First, before we do that, we're going to make sure we're whisking on the right color. So just put a little bit, tap a little bit. Now on women, I always do this close to the neck, but you have a beard there, so it's a little different. And work it in a little bit. You know what? I already see the difference. You see the difference from one side to the other?
Yeah.
And you also...
It just looks...
it looks more even. But the good way to tell is that now that you've blended it in, I can't see where it ends. There's no like streak of foundation. So we have confirms color 20 foundation, 102 brush. Just put a little drop on there. You don't need to use the whole pea. That might even be too much. But really work it into the brush.
Yep.
And then work it just where you need the coverage.
And I'm not like dragging against my skin. I'm just kind of like...
Yep, buffing. And I like that you took it into the beard, because if you're grooming men, sometimes they'll forget to take it into the beard. And then it's almost like a woman where the foundation stops here. On men, the foundation will stop here.
You don't want that line.
You don't want that line because you can see skin through the beard.
And then a little bit on the forehead?
Just a touch, just a little bit of blotchiness there. But you don't want it to be so heavy. So I like that you're going in steps and buffing it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What do you think?
Perfect. Nothing crazy, not too heavy.
Yeah, and this actually is not, like, I would never think to use a brush that has these like spikes. Like I would think that you would use like a normal brush. So it's actually kind of interesting to do it with that, because I think it also helps make it look less cakey.
Yeah, because it's not applying a ton of product, and it's really blending a little bit that's on there, versus this. If you just put a ton of product on there, you might end up looking like a vampire, because it's just going to be heavy and you don't get any natural. I think that's what went wrong on the show you're talking about, where you just take out all the color from the skin, and now Nick is a beautiful porcelain doll versus just the cover.
And I go 0 to porcelain doll very quickly, in my experience. Like I have like consumption or something.
So we decided why we're using coverage. So just to cover the splotchiness, Number one, down. Number two, you just want to look a little more awake under the eyes. Do you have?
Oh, can I add it? Can I add a number three? Number three is I like to look a little like bronzed. I like to look a little healthy, like maybe a little vacation. I wear sunscreen every day, but I like to look like I've been in the sun.
This is the perfect brush. Same brush we've been using. We're going to swirl that in some bronzer later and just do a light dusting over the face. Under eye. Do you have a concealer that looks somewhat like?
I have medium light concealer.
But here's the thing. I don't think you, in really looking at your face, I don't think you need, we're seriously analyzing it. I don't think you need something as heavy as a concealer under your eyes, to be honest. Let's try this. And then if we still don't look like we slept for 8 hours, we'll move on to something heavier. But take a smaller brush.
Okay.
The 202 brush. And then any leftover, that little pea-size amount of foundation. Or we can add like another little tiny dab. And again, this isn't really tightly bristled. It's not as precise. I can get really precise with my little finger, or I can get really precise with a tight brush. With a sponge, it's a bigger stamp. The area is too big. It's a big stamp of coverage. I think that'll do it.
Do you see it?
I do see it. You notice the difference? Look one eye to the other eye in the inner corner. I see that darkness on the inner corner. Yeah. I think that's it. And again, that comes into like really analyzing the face, because some people will go, I need concealer, and just jump to concealer. I'm like, do you though?
So that makes sense. I would have always gone for a concealer just because it sounds like the thing you're supposed to use to conceal, but you don't always need to.
No, and now you're running around with concealer for no reason. So if you don't need it, skip it. For brows, and this is really important for me on men's faces, I think a lot of people, well, women's faces too, a lot of people forget. So if you grab the eyebrow pencil, you out of 206 or 202.
Oh, I have a 202 too.
You do have a 202. Amazing.
You want to start with the 202?
I think we should do the lighter one, because again, look at your hair and your brows. Your hair is probably the deeper one. Your brows are actually the lighter one. So you don't want to paint your brows too dark. And that goes back into really analyzing the face. Let's do the other side, the little spoolie side. Because in our lovely whisking, a lot of times we'll go over the hair, and sometimes to keep it 100% undetectable coverage, you might get a little bit of foundation in the hair. So I just want to make sure we brush the hairs through to make sure that we didn't get any foundation in it. And also it lets you see what your brow is naturally doing before we just get in there and start painting. Let's see what we actually need. So on the other side, the side that you've covered.
You got it.
Yeah. Now on women, I always take the pointy side and make it really, really precise. But on men, I don't like really sharp brows, because men tend to not tweeze the brows. They tend not to have really sharp brows. Why change it? I actually like to hold it flat against the brow.
And where do I start? At the beginning?
Not at the beginning, because that part is perfect already. Right where you have it, and just follow what's there and just lightly just fill it in just a pinch, but not all the way, just where we need it.
Did I do it too much?
No. Now that we've moved into this color, the light brown, do you see how the dark brown would be way too deep?
Yeah, it would look really deep and weird.
Never match your hair to the pencil. Match the actual hair you're filling into the pencil, which is light brown.
Interesting. I would never have known that. I would never have known that.
Perfect. But do you see how not filling in the natural brow that doesn't need to be keeps the overall look really natural? I like it. You don't need this, but just a tip for someone out there that does. Men, sometimes, they have like deeper eyelids. If your eyelids are really, really deep, so deep that they're making you look tired, it usually happens right in here, not the whole lid, but I would go in there and I brighten it up just a pinch. You still have to keep the lid dark, so it gives your face those natural dimensions, but...
And would you use foundation, a little foundation or a concealer?
Just right in the inside part, because on men, it tends to be blue right in here. Not so much on, I guess not the lid, more the inner corner, like right in there. And then, because I noticed we did down here, but don't forget that blue area. You see it right in, yep. Do you have a bronzer?
I do. I have Le Beige. So this is a bronzing cream.
Yes.
I've used a bronzing powder before, but like, explain to me the difference.
So a powder is going to sit on top of your skin. The cream is going to blend down into your skin. Perfect.
It's actually really pretty.
It's beautiful, and it's cream, but there's no shimmer. It just literally gives you that sun-kissed kick that you need.
I'm guessing, like, as you've basically said, is like less is more when it comes to guys. So like, I'm just kind of like touching the surface of it.
You just touch the surface, but it'll tell us if it's too, I'd rather it be too little than too much. So when you put it on your face, it'll tell you if you really need to get in there. Men's face. I don't want it to be too, no, you're contoured. No, I think with this, the hand is where the sun would naturally hit. So I would give it a swipe towards the top of the forehead. Awesome. And then instead of going on your cheeks, like, you know, women, as we do blush, I literally just go right across the center of the face with zero precision. Yep. If it hits the nose, it hits the nose. Yeah, I'm just like, and sometimes I'll give it a little bit on the chin. Perfect.
It just like, it gives us a little bit of more life to it, but it doesn't look like makeup.
It doesn't look like makeup. It doesn't look like coverage. And more importantly, because you only used what you needed, you don't have to put those highlights and shadows back into the face. Makeup did what it needed to do. It just covered the blotchiness, gave you a little life under the eyes. And I think, like I said, the most important part is the prep and analyzing what you actually need. Because if we really just grabbed concealer and we're like, we're doing grooming,
I would have looked crazy.
Effect. The overall effect is it's too much. And in life, you don't need all that. You just need that little kick that makes it look refreshed. So restraint is key. And then final, just a little lip balm. Men tend to have drier lips. There's no science behind that. It's probably, I just made that up, but I'm just telling you from years and years of experience, men tend to have drier lips.
This is Boy de Chanel lip balm. This is pretty good.
Men probably have drier lips because they're doing what you're doing. They're always looking for a lip balm that doesn't make them look shiny, so they'll just skip it. But this one, you literally, when you put it on your hand, you can't see it. It's just hydration in a stick.
Yeah, that's literally all I'm ever looking for, and I'd rather go with chapped lips than have like shiny lips. It just is not my look.
I'm curious, when you wear this face for the rest of the day, even poll people, I don't think anyone will be able to see what we've done.
No, I don't think at all. And like, I think it like gives you that little extra boost. I mean, like this, I'm not being cheesy, but it does give you like a little extra boost of confidence that like you look a little bit more pulled together. You don't look exhausted. You don't look like you've been eating shit you shouldn't be eating, drinking, like
potato vodka.
You look a little bit. Let the record show, this is a full unopened potato vodka. Like it's not like the remaining. Out of all these products that you so graciously sent me, we only really need like 3 or 4. So like you need a good spiky brush. You need a good gel moisturizer. You need a little bit of foundation that matches your skin tone. And you need a spoolie thing with the eyebrow. And that's kind of like, that's the no makeup men's makeup look.
No makeup men's makeup look. And we also need a little brush just to get into those tight.
Oh, right. Our baby brush. Yeah.
But I also, so there are, like I said, every every step in the process is really, really important. Like I said, the moisturizer cuts down on shine. The foundation, one thing I did want to mention is, I know sometimes, people are at home and we're all locked in the house, so we're watching, beauty tutorials. And when you watch beauty tutorials, they're very misleading sometimes, because you can, as soon as they grab that sponge and put it on, you can see the foundation going on. And that immediately is a hard stop. Like if I can see it through that's not the right color. If I can see it through a zoom and it's the wrong, I shouldn't be able to see it going on. As it goes on, I just should see your skin getting more even. And that's what happened. Like when you started rubbing it in, I lost sight of where it had been, where it was, no lines of demarcation. And that's how you know you have the right shade.
Okay, so like all those videos we see of like people basically plastering their entire face with like a different color and then rebuilding colors on top of it, that has a time and a place, but that time and that place is probably not 8 a.m. on a work day.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, and also if you notice, they're putting it on all the real estate of the face is covered. And that's the exact opposite of what you want to do with men's grooming. It's what we did is perfect, as needed. And if you have the right tools, see how fast we breeze through it.
I love it. Thank you, Tasha.
Of course. Thank you so much, Nick.